Excellent. That's a great way to start a review. Let's not bother. We usually do a thing, and that's just the cards. Okay. Anyways. Okay, so now we got that out of the way. Today's subject matter is Crash Dive, released in 1983 for the Atari 2600 video computer system, courtesy of 20th Century Fox. Yes, the same 20th Century Fox that once made movies also published Atari games, because that was a thing people did back in the day. And that's how the industry around these parts either crashed or took a dive. Well, I tried. He lied. Anyway, Crash Dive is a side-view, side-scrolling, whatever you want to call it, shooting game of sorts, where you shoot various sea creatures, enemy boats, and flying things attempting to kill you, all the while diving deep for treasures that are laying at the bottom of the ocean floor. Every so often, you'll come across a fueling boat that you'll need to fly by in order to refuel, because if you run out of fuel, you die. Consequently, if you crash into anything that moves, you also die and lose a life. So it's a pretty straightforward affair with some random elements, but otherwise follows the patterns of each round, as it were, comprising 8 waves, with the 7th always hosting a treasure for you to collect that is often surrounded by mines, and the 8th will always contain the refueling boat before you move on to the next round, as it were, which hosts a new treasure for you to collect. Crash Dive seems like a fairly average shooter on Atari, and to be fair, there's not really a whole lot to it, but there's a couple neat ideas here. Your ship, the Sea Hunter, can both fly in the air and dive underwater, and positioning often determines your overall travel speed. So flying in the air makes you go fast, diving underwater makes you go on an average speed, while landing on the land and the bottom of the ocean is a stationary thing. You could also boost your speed by pushing forward on the joystick. Audio cues will often clue you in on incoming dangers or friendly ships, so if you hear a bird chirping, you could safely ignore it and focus on the real danger, which is the boat and other sea creatures trying to kill you. And toggling the difficulty switches will let you switch between regular shots and shots with limited steering capability, similar to the shots in River Raid, for example. And controlling Crash Dive is fairly tight and responsive, no issues whatsoever in this regard. Certainly one of the nicer looking 2600 games at least. You have a nice sunset and gradient sky in the background with some clouds passing by as you move onwards. The sprites are as basic as you could get, but you could somewhat make out some of these as what they're supposed to be. Sound effects are also on the pleasant side somewhat, some rough sounding sounds here and there, but still largely tolerable. I won't bag on that too much. Overall, Crash Dive is a perfectly fine and rather enjoyable little shooter thing on Atari VCS, which isn't saying a whole lot because perfectly fine and rather enjoyable little shooter things are often a dime a dozen on Atari 2600, but Crash Dive does have a couple tweaks to the formula that makes it somewhat different or unique from the norm. Otherwise, I had a good time with this one. A fine game indeed.